In this video, I'm going to show you a bunch of different businesses that you can start for under $100 here at the Home Depot. So let's get a cart, let's go in, and let's get some money, baby. I'll see you guys in there. Before we jump into all the businesses that you can start, there are 3 things that you're going to need before you start your business. The first one is a tool to keep track of customers, send estimates, invoices, and collect payments, as well as keep track of customer data. And you can do all those things using Quote IQ, which I'll have linked in the comment section and the description. This is going to allow you to run your business like an actual business and not a side hustle. And if you're looking to make serious money, you need to take organizing your business serious as well. Next, you're going to need insurance. No matter what you think, you guys, I know you don't want to think about insurance whenever you're first starting your business, but if you mess up something on someone's property, you're going to wish you had it. So I'll have a link down below for a free insurance quote for starting your business. And then lastly, more important than anything else, you need to know how to get customers in order to make these businesses successful. I'm going to link a video down below that I did, which is essentially a free course on YouTube on a bunch of different methods for getting customers. It'll be linked in the comment section and the description of this video as well as a free resource. I highly recommend you watch that video all the way through. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, you guys, so the first service we're going to talk about is gutter cleaning. What you need to start a business for gutter cleaning is very simple. First and foremost, probably some gloves, so that way you can have some hand protection when you're removing debris from gutters. Secondly, we're going to need somewhere to place all of the extra leaves and things of that nature that come out, and we can use these husky bags. These are really good. They're built heavy duty, so that way they can hold all that kind of stuff and you can dispose of them properly. You could also get a bucket of some sort, and then lastly, you're just going to need a ladder in order to reach the places that you're trying to reach with regards to doing your gutter cleaning. Now, I would probably venture to say that someone that has a ladder that you can borrow, so you could really start this business for 25, 10, maybe another 10 on a bucket. So you could start this business for less than $50 if you wanted to. The beautiful thing about gutter cleaning is the potential profit on it, $75 to $200 per home, depending upon what kind of linear footage they have, which linear footage is something that you can measure within Quote IQ. I'll have a link for that down below so you guys can kind of do your measurement. Charge per linear foot. The charging for this service is anywhere between $1 to $1.50 per linear foot, and this is one of the fastest ways to make real money with very little gear. People hate cleaning their own gutters. It is a bit of a safety hazard having to go up and down on a ladder all the way around your house. This is a great side hustle for the spring and the fall whenever the demand is highest. Ladder, gloves, trash bags, you'll be good to go to start making some serious dough. All right, you guys, this next service is a yard cleanup service. You're only going to need a couple things. So basically, we can kind of keep the same thing that we had for the gutter cleaning. We're just going to add a rake in. This rake in particular right here is $34.98. So between the rake, $35, the $25 bags, and then the $10 gloves, we're going to be well under $100 with this one. Beautiful thing with doing yard cleanups is you can make between $50 to $150 a job. Obviously, we would have liked to have some kind of a blower here, but it's not really going to be fitting in the budget. So we can do our first job and then we can reinvest into getting a blower. But this is a no mower landscaping hustle. You just rake the leaves, you bag them, you pick up sticks, all that kind of different stuff. So perfect for storm cleanups, fall leaf removals, or just helping out people that want to get their yards cleaned up. So what we would do on this one is we would charge by the job, reinvest into the equipment. It's all labor and it adds up fast with regard to the amount of money that we can make. And then, like I said, once we do our first job, we can then take that money and invest that money back into a leaf blower to kind of speed things up for ourselves. But essentially, you can start this business for less than $100 and you can start offering these services. So we actually found some cheaper rakes down here. You guys can get a small rake for $14.98. You can also get one of these big ones right here. This would probably be better for leaves, $13.98. Under $100, you can start leaf cleanup, you could start storm cleanup, and you can also start doing bed cleanups for people, pulling weeds, trimming shrubs, raking things out, and then you can even have them pay for the mulch and put the mulch in for yourself. Those jobs actually earn even more. You could probably earn up to $300 to $400 doing those bed cleanups. So I highly recommend going that route. That's one of the ways that I first started. And then taking those first jobs, the money from those jobs, and reinvesting to get the blower and get this upgraded equipment. And if we come right over here, you can get the rake, you can get the bags, you can get the gloves, and then you can also get some of these for trimming bushes up. So $29, I think $29.15. That's $45, $25. Yeah, we'd be well under our $100 budget for doing bed cleanups as well. So the good thing about some of these businesses, they actually double. So with this equipment, you can do your gutter cleaning, your bed cleaning, your leaf pickup, and you can do storm cleanup as well, all with just a few simple tools. All right, so the next service that we're going to be talking about is a basic handyman service where you're doing assembly and fixes for people. You're only going to need a couple tools for this, and for handyman services, you can actually make anywhere between $30 to $75 an hour. So a couple of things that I would look at getting: screwdriver set, one of these sets with all the different heads for, you know, whatever it is that you're going to be assembling, as well as maybe a hammer. And the biggest thing is what you want to do is you want to offer, you know, handyman services, putting things together, taking things apart, you know, assembling furniture, tightening cabinets. You could even do, you know, cheap things like patching drywall, changing out fixtures, applying paint, like things where the customer's gonna have to pay for, you know, all of the materials, and then all you have to do is kind of come in on the back end and get some of the cheap stuff that you're gonna need in order to get the job done. The biggest thing is we want to start with little things, right? So if we're putting together furniture, like we said, we'd get one of these screwdriver sets, you know, maybe we'd get a hammer, and we'd just get a couple things, and then every job we can kind of reinvest back into that equipment based on the things that people are asking for. Now, this kind of side hustle is for anybody who's even like a little handy or knows how to, you know, follow YouTube tutorials. I mean, I'm telling you guys, there's jobs out there that people need done and they don't want to do it themselves. All you are is one YouTube tutorial and a few different tools away from offering that solution for the customer and getting paid for that as well. So the services that we want to focus on are things that are going to cost us little money with regards to tools and equipment, and things that are relatively easy that we could simply just look up on YouTube and offer that solution. So we can charge hourly or by the job, and we could scale basically using word of mouth for this particular service, because people are always looking for people that can come in and do things that they don't want to do. So a simple toolkit can turn you into a full-time side hustler with your handyman business. And like I said, I can't give you all the tools that you're going to need to start a handyman business, because it really depends on what your clients are asking for. But I guarantee that every job can be done with minimal amounts of tools. And if it can't be, then you can always tell them that you can't do it. The biggest thing with all these businesses, guys, is you want to look for things that you can start cheap and scale quickly. So with all of these, you're able to get a few pieces of equipment to get the job done in the beginning. You can reinvest into better equipment later on to take on bigger jobs, to make more money, and to ultimately get things done faster. And I think the handyman route is a great way to go about doing that. The next service that we're going to talk about is a painting touch-up service, where all you're going to need is a couple different things: paintbrush, paint tape, drop cloth, things of that nature. So I found this right here, guys, $19.98. You could pretty much get all the things that you're going to need in order to apply the paint. We just need to find a couple different drop cloths. If we look right here, this is all of our tape, all of our painter's tape. I personally, every time I've painted, have gone with this blue tape right here. So I would, you know, recommend that. I'm not a painter by any means. The other thing is with regards to starting these businesses, you might not be an expert out of the gate, okay? The biggest thing to remember is you're just providing a service for somebody who's in need. You don't need to be a painting expert. You don't need to know everything about paint. You just need to be able to use Google, use common sense, use YouTube to watch tutorial videos, and basically go out and do the labor, be the labor for these people. So with regards to a painting or a painting touch-up service, you're going to be able to make $100+ a job, depending upon how big the job is. We look right here, this is some good masking tape that we probably need, and I would assume that drop cloths are going to be very cheap as well. You can actually get these big rolls right here, roll these out to be, you know, your drop cloths, if you will, or you can get ones that are reusable. So $100+ on every single job. You know, you don't even need to paint full rooms. You can just do touch-up work if that's what you want to do. You just have to be pretty good at matching the paint. I would say maybe that's probably would be the hardest part of this, but you can also focus on landlords and flippers who just want to, you know, make things look good and clean it up and have it move in ready. So if we're looking at it between the tape, the drop cloth, and what we need to apply the paint, we're looking at pretty cheap pricing. Now, once we get into buying the paint, that's when it's going to get a bit more expensive, but all we do is pass that cost on to the customer, have the customer actually buy their own paint, and we would just be the ones applying it. In a couple of the areas that you guys can focus on with regards to doing your touch-up paint service is you can touch up baseboards, trim, doors, walls, you know, for, like we said, landlords or real estate professionals looking to help people sell their homes. And then if you wanted to scale this up, if you enjoyed painting, if you started getting some painting clients, then you could actually start doing full rooms, full houses, and you could really scale it up into a legitimate painting business just by starting doing paint touch-up work with relatively little cost and equipment. Next service that we're going to take a look at is a mailbox restoration service, where essentially you would come in here, you would get paint for mailboxes. So probably one of these down here, which you guys can see, $10. You'd probably need a couple cans of that. The other thing that you would need is some sandpaper, so that way you could take off the paint that's currently on the mailbox. You might need a couple things that aren't here, like let's say if you need new flags or new numbers, those would probably be things that you could not buy at Home Depot. However, you could get started and you could just pass those costs on to the customer by saying, hey, you know, if we're going to be doing paint, here's your paint cost. If we're going to need to do numbers, here's your numbers cost. And you could pass it on. So just for sanding and repainting mailboxes, you could get a black, you could get a red for flags, and you could even get a gold or whatever the number color is. You can do that for under $100, and you could start painting mailboxes. Now, how much would you charge for this service? You'd kind of have to use your discernment. I would start somewhere around $100 for a repainting. Obviously, you're gonna know exactly what your material costs are, and the better you get with it, the more money that you're gonna be able to make, because you're gonna be able to do jobs faster. So the biggest thing is we wanna make sure that people are actually opting into our service. So for whatever reason, when you're giving people the $100 price tag to redo their mailbox, they're not saying yes to it, then we could just lower that price, or if we're getting a ton of yeses, we can start raising that price. So I would say between the paint, the sandpaper, then maybe something to mask. You want to be able to mask the curb, mask the grass, because obviously you don't want to get a bunch of paint on those areas. But for relatively cheap, once again, you guys could start painting mailboxes, making probably $100 an hour doing so, and making some good money, and scale that up into some other painting services like we looked at before. Another service that you're going to be able to leverage is a garage floor painting business. So you guys can see here, relatively cheap, $50 for the paint. We're going to pass this cost on to the customer. We can do so by putting it within a deposit. Whenever they accept their estimate, they can pay for the paint, and in which case we would just need the applicator, which like I said, rollers, things of that nature, in order to put the paint on the garage floor. But we could start a garage floor painting business. Not even just that, you can also paint back patios with this as well, but you can start painting garage floors, making really good money. Now, with regards to the pricing on this, I would probably have a flat rate price for 2-car garages, because that's probably what you're going to run into most when you're doing these kind of jobs. So you can sell this kind of paint, you can upsell into maybe something that's a bit higher end. You can also upsell into putting paint chips on the ground. So all you are is one YouTube video away, and then marketing your business in order to get some repainting of garage floor clients, in order to start making a bunch of money with that particular service. The beautiful thing is you use some of these other services to get your foot in the door. You notice that the garage isn't painted, or you let them know, hey, the garage floor is something that we can get painted for you, and get it looking a lot better for you, and then you can start making money with that. Like I said, flat rate on 2-car garages, I would probably charge anywhere between $300 and $500 a garage floor, and that is with the customer actually paying for the supply. So I would make sure that all the supply cost was factored in. I'd also have my upsells, so we could just do a normal paint, we can up you to maybe an epoxy or something a little bit higher end, and we can also do the chips if that's something that you want as well. So like I said, you land the job, you get them to pay for the material costs, and then you go out and you start making $300 to $500 doing garage floors. All right, guys, another service that we can start is a furniture refinishing business. So we looked over there at the sandpaper for another service. You guys would definitely need some sandpaper for this, but if we look at all the different finishes here, as we can see, relatively cheap. Now, like we said, when we start getting some of these jobs, we're going to pass off the material cost to the customer, and we can do that in the form of a deposit, and then we can get paid for basically doing the labor after the fact, after the job is done. So if you guys want to start doing some different furniture finishing, you can do that within this aisle here. So we have the paint here. Another thing that you're probably going to need is something to strip off the paint, so you can get the stripping gel, something like this, strip off the paint, and now you're in business. So between a sander, a paint stripper right here, and then the paint, you're definitely under $100. Obviously, like we said earlier, you'd have to get one of those packs where you could paint it with brushes and rollers and things of that nature, but pretty easily you can start making money refinishing people's furniture. Now, is this the best business that I would go with? No, because it's going to take a little bit more time. I don't know if it's going to make as much money, and it might be a little bit more difficult to find customers, but yet again, we're finding more businesses that you guys can start for under $100. So if you're somebody who particularly loves furniture, or loves dealing with furniture, or loves painting, or loves repainting, I would say that refinishing furniture is a good way to go. The last service that I want to mention to you guys with regards to painting is painting fences. So as you guys can see here, we have a wood stain, painting fences, painting decks. You could even repaint, black fences or things of that nature. But painting fences, essentially, is something that we didn't talk about. It's another niche service within painting, and you can actually get started with a paint sprayer. So one of the things that really speeds things up is obviously having a paint sprayer. Now, we would love to be on the higher end of this. However, for our budget, we'd probably have to be somewhere around this price for our first paint sprayer. And like I told you guys, let's say $69 is too expensive. You can start with a brush, start with a roller, do your first job that way, reinvest, get yourself a paint sprayer for the second job, and then level up from there. So painting decks, painting fences, things of that nature, another service that you can offer that people like to get done. And if you're able to offer it at a good price, I don't see why they wouldn't take you up on that offer. You could even team up with a company that installs fences, and you can give them a kickback on every customer that they refer to you for your wood fence painting, because who's dealing with more people putting in fences than actual people putting in fences? So you could reach out to every single contractor in your area that offers fence installation, and you could say, hey, on every job that you send me, I'm actually going to give you a 20% kickback on the job for sending it to me. That way you eliminate your cost with regards to acquiring customers. They're able to send you customers that obviously have enough money to put in a new fence, and we can sell them on the protection of that new fence that they just invested in with some sort of stain. If you guys need ideas for businesses, just come in here and look at this: shelving, closet organization, wood shelving, tables and chairs. So a couple different services we can offer on this. We can offer assembly on different types of shelving and things of that nature, but we can also offer people organizational services, right? Hey, we do closet organization, we do garage organization, we do whatever organization you need, and then you can sell them basically the shelving for it. You can sell them, you coming in and decluttering for them, removing things, and you can also upsell on all the prices. So let's say you got a job doing organization for somebody and they're like, hey, we want to put a shelf in. Great, this is $32, we're going to double it. Now it's $64 because we're buying it, we're installing it, whatever the case may be. So basically all I'm saying is, if you guys need ideas for more services, come in here and look at the problem solutions that are offered on these end caps right here, because they're going to tell you people are coming in here, they're looking for shelving. Okay, so we can do shelving installation. All you have to do is pay for the shelving. We're going to need a couple tools for that. Maybe we're going to need a screw gun, some screws, a level, and maybe like a stud finder or something to that effect, under $100. But essentially we could front with our labor, right? We come in, we help you get everything organized, and then we make the money on the back end with the installation of things that they pay for, and all we're doing is installing them and charging for our labor. So another one is organizing for people. It costs absolutely nothing to come in and say, hey, we're going to help you get your garage organized, or whatever the case may be, and you can upsell into all these different things that'll help them get their garage organized. My last business for you guys is moving business. Once again, we get inspired by the end caps. What do people need? Moving boxes. They need storage cabinets. They need bubble wrap. They need all this stuff. But what's the biggest thing that people hate? Moving in the first place. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to offer them labor to help them move. Okay, hey, I'm here, I can help people move. All you need to do is have your car, right? You can help them load boxes. You can help them load these boxes into their car, costing you absolutely nothing. And then secondarily, hey, if you guys need help getting organized on the back end of this, then I can help with the organization as well. So you're kind of double dipping, right? We talked about organizing, closets, cabinets, garages on the other video. Now we're talking about actually helping people move. If you just offer your labor, whatever that labor may be, you can get paid for it. So maybe you have a service where you charge $50 an hour to come help somebody move. You're going to help them move all their furniture. They have to supply everything from the wrap to the boxes to, the vehicle that everything is being transported in, but you're just there to help them move all of their things. You could literally start doing this tomorrow. And you know who you could connect with? Real estate agents. You could connect with real estate agents and you could say, hey, every house you sell, please refer me to the homeowner as someone who can help them move. All I charge is $50 an hour. I'll come in, help them move everything, and then I'll even give you a kickback. Maybe you give them $5 an hour, or you give them 10% on the job or something like that. But who knows more people that are moving than real estate agents? After recording this video, I realized that there was one business that I forgot, and that is a car wash business. All you're going to need to start this one is a bucket, microfiber towels, soap. You might need a hose and you might need a nozzle, but you're going to be utilizing the customer's water in this instance, which is actually going to cost you way less than $100. Everyone has a car. Some people have multiple cars. So this is a great business to start in order to get easy customers. And with that money that you make, you can then reinvest into more detailing equipment. You can get a pressure washer. You can get vacuums. You can get interior detailing equipment. And you can then launch your detail business. You guys can see that all of the businesses that we talked about in this video are kind of stepping stones to larger businesses. So you have the choice. Either you can dabble in a bunch of different things, or you can take one direction, start small, and scale your way up from there. But if there's any other businesses that I missed, please leave them in the comment section of this video. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. And if you made it this far in the video, comment down below the business that you are going to start, and I will hashtag you a real one. But until next time, my name is Justin. This is Forever Self-Employed. Hustle hard. Get that money, baby. Peace.